I'm Colby Smith, and these scandals, they're not even scandalous anymore. You know, is it shocking that Jack Straw's like boasting about how much it costs for him to like get something done in Parliament? No. Is it shocking that HSBC dodged their tax in Switzerland? No. Is it shocking that newspapers' editorials are dictated by the money they get from advertising? No. Why are these things even... like, these things aren't shocking, to me anyway. To the general public, they might be shocking. But to me, I'm like, this is like bread and butter British politics. Backhanders, tax dodging, corporate allegiances. You know, it's not shocking to me. You know, there's nothing, you know, expenses, you know, lying in Parliament, phone hacking, you know, Hillsborough. It's not shocking anymore. What would be more shocking is if an MP turned up, accepted his salary, which is, you know, 4 times greater than my salary, might I add, did his job, reported to his constituency, didn't dodge tax, didn't take backhanders from corporations, and just was a good politician. That's a scandal nowadays. If that happens, that's a scandal. You know, these things like Panorama blew the roof off of the tax dodging scandal. Did they? You know, since I was about 10 years old, I was aware of the fact that Switzerland was somewhere you put your money if you don't want the government to tax it. You know, that's nothing new. That's like, it's common knowledge. And you know, and you see these massive, like, huge adverts in the newspapers for Tesco's or for Amazon or for Vodafone. Do you think that Tesco's or Amazon or Vodafone are gonna pay however much they pay to have an advert in the Telegraph or the Sun? Do you think they're gonna pay that much if on the next page there's an advert, there's a newspaper article that says Tesco's are paying below minimum wage, that Amazon have got people on 0-hour contracts, that Vodafone owe £30 billion worth of tax? Obviously, it's like basic common sense, of course. And who else funds them? You know, it costs 50p for a newspaper. You know, the Metro, they give that away for free. Who do you think pays for that? The advertisers pay for that. You know, and you've got these journalists, and you can't tell half the time whether they're doing a journalistic piece or if they're writing a review. You know, these, like, oh, when you read The Guardian, I'm like, are they paid to support Labour? And I read The Telegraph, are they paid to support the Conservatives? Yes, they fucking are. Are they paid to distract you away from, you know, the oil companies ravishing the world and, like, the big corporations, like, mugging off British workers? Yes, they are paid to distract you from that bullshit. That's their main function in this society nowadays. You know, and I don't blame. It's easy to point the finger. Cameron, Miliband, Jack Straw, Rifkind, you know, Lord Green, whatever the name was. It's easy to point fingers on that, but, you know, Jack Straw come out today and said he's not breaking the law. You know, he's not breaking the law. So how can you blame these guys? Fair enough, their morals may be a bit askew, but, you know, there's no punishment for having bad morals in the United Kingdom. There's punishment for breaking the law. And if you're operating within the confines of the law, that tells me the law is broken. You know, the law needs updating. Now, of course, it's not illegal for politicians to take money off these people because they write the fucking laws. Do you know what I mean? That's the whole system, you know. The whole system is broke. It's not the individuals. You know, you could put Mother Teresa, you could put Gandhi in this political system now, and they probably end up taking backhanders because it's just the way it works. You know, and people are acting shocked that, like, corporations want to give money and MPs will accept money to get stuff done. You know, that's basic lobbying. Why is this, you know, it's in line with the law. You know, you got, for a start, there shouldn't even be a House of Lords. You know, they can just pick whoever they want. Whoever gives the Tory party, the Labour party, the most amount of money, they can just pick them, knight them, Give them an MBE, CBE, OBE, whatever the fuck they want. You know, how's that even possible? So let's say a company can give £1 million to the Conservative Party, and then they put the head of that company gets picked to be a peer, and then he's passing laws in favour of his company. He doesn't even have to lobby his MP, he just pays to get put in a seat of power. There's something fundamentally wrong with that, just being hand-picked to be in a seat of, like, power. Like, these scandals, they're not even scandals anymore. You know, people you don't even have to, like, tell people. You know, they're sick and fucking tired of this. Sick and tired. Year after year, you got expenses, phone hacking, tax dodging. You know, it just keeps on going. I mean, what is next? Whatever could be next. And, you know, you got all these MPs today and, like, pundits on the radio criticising Jack Straw and this Rifkin, saying, the Parliamentary Standards Committee will chase them up. It's reprehensible, it's immoral, you know, it's fundamentally wrong. But all these MPs that are, like, condemning the actions of Jack Straw and Malcolm Rifkind, they're just the people that haven't been caught yet. You know, if there was criminal charges for everyone that swindled their expenses, half of them would be gone by now. You know, if there's criminal charges for like corporations paying people to get their way in Parliament, half of them would be gone by now. If all the tax dodgers got sent to jail, you know, we'd have a clean slate. We'd have to start again with Parliament. You know, the system is fundamentally broken in so many ways. Like, you can't even begin to describe what, like, fucking right. If they're getting paid 60 grand a year, fucking right, they don't need to have a second job. No way. They should not have any private interests outside of Parliament. You know, if they've got property, you know, a quarter of all MPs are landlords, are private landlords. So why do you think, like, people who are renting haven't got a chance? All the legislation is against them. Like, it's not fluke. It's, like, planned that way. You know, they shouldn't have second jobs. They shouldn't be able to claim expenses. You know, they shouldn't be meeting with, like, the bosses of corporations, like, 52 times a year. Like, these things are fundamental, like, basics. You can't have a democracy. Like, the head of some company, his paycheck is way more powerful than my tick in a ballot box. So why the fuck do I even vote? You know, the whip, you know, the whip's Tory party whip has got more influence than, like, my whole constituency. It's fundamentally flawed. You know, I'm not even shocked anymore. It's just boring. It's boring to hear about these sponging, like, cheating, lying, thieving, like, rotten people. It's boring to hear about it. I just want to switch off. I don't even care. You know, I'm close to the point of not even voting. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you know, they could find David Cameron having sex with a pig tomorrow, and that still wouldn't want to make me vote for Ed Miliband. You know, there's nothing that these guys can do to impress me or unimpress me anymore. You know, they've had 5 years to talk about tax dodging and heating allowance for old people and social justice and care of the vulnerable. They've had a 5-year term to talk about this. Ed Miliband's had 5 years to get up on his soapbox. He could have been out on the street. Like, if Ed Miliband wanted to drum up support for the working class people, he could have a fucking million people on the street outside Downing Street and they'd kick out David Cameron for him. But he won't, you know. They've had 5 years to do this. And now it's just like election mood music, background noise, fucking in one ear, out the other. Like, the money needs to be out of politics. Democracy before profit. Like, that is a fundamental. That should be like one of the top billing points of a manifesto of what the party that I want to vote for in May. Democracy before profit. environment before profit and people before profit. It's not that hard to work out. Please. Thanks for listening.